Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode here at the Pioneers of Bitcoin podcast. My name is RK, and today I would like to discuss why the price action of Bitcoin is so boring, why we're not moving higher or lower, and what could be the cause of the price action that we are seeing in the precious metals like gold and silver, and what's happening around the world. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the video. Welcome to another episode here at the Pioneers of Bitcoin podcast. The price of Bitcoin right now is at $89,400 and everybody's frustrated. So I thought I would maybe record a video and talk about the current situation, what's happening in Bitcoin world, and what could be the reason for the current price action. So let me just share my screen. Perfect. So as you can see, we're still off the highs and the price is, it has recovered a little bit from its lows, but we are still at a low territory around almost 30%. So 29% off the all-time highs. And I just want to, before I dig deeper into the reasoning why this is happening, I would like to talk about a little bit of a history in Bitcoin. So if you've been around Bitcoin for a longer time, you'll be able to feel what I'm just about to tell you. But if you're new to Bitcoin, it's just going to be a story and you need to experience this by yourself in the coming months and years to come. So I remember very vividly when we had a price action back in 2020 between 8,000 and 10,000 US dollars. And it was one of the most boring times that you could be in Bitcoin. And it was dragging along for a very, very, very long time. So you see here from October 2019, we had a price action of between 10,000 to, we had the COVID crash, obviously, but we had a range, right? So you can definitely make the argument that we had a range that went on for a very, very long time. And that range basically was between these two price targets, 10,000 and 8,000. And that went on for quite a long time. So as you can see, this is 8,000 and yeah, it was a little bit lower than that. If you want to make the argument that it was lower, this is a very long-term chart. So you will see weekly candles here. If I zoom in a little bit and we zoom into the daily candles, you will see that this was the price range, right? So this is how Bitcoin behaves sometimes. And it's nothing new. It's completely common that we have a sideways price action for a very, very long period of time. So you see here, this range that you see here, if you just take the COVID crash out of this, went on from September 2019 to December 2020. Okay, so you can make the argument that it was a chubby market for a year. I'm not saying that this can happen now, but this is something we know that has happened in the past, and this is nothing new. And the people who held through this time made a fortune. Obviously, they looked stupid when they bought Bitcoin at 10,000 because everybody expected it to pull back to 8,000. But at the end of the day, the time they stayed in the market rewarded them with this price action that we saw in 2021. And it went all the way up to 70,000. And then we had the bear market, right? And I'm not saying we are at the same price action or the same price range we were back then, but this is something that we are used to. If I may take another example from the past before I dig deeper into the other topics, 2021, okay, 2021, we saw an all-time high in April of 2021, okay, all-time high, and it took Bitcoin around, what was that, April 2021. It took only May, June, July, August, July. So it took 3 months for it to crash to a low at 30,000. That was a correction of, let's take a look. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Let's take a look at the price range here in percentage terms. So that was a 56% down turn from its all-time high. And it happened just in 3 months, guys. Just in 3 months, okay? In 3 months, Bitcoin dropped 55%. And we had a rally back up to another all-time high in November in the same year. So just after August to November, it took only 3 months for it to come back to its all-time high. And if you take the entire time frame, it was from April to November, it was 6 months. Okay, so within 6 months, we saw an all-time high and then a 50% drop and another all-time high afterwards. Okay, so I just want to calm everybody down that this is nothing unusual. This price action, I know it feels bad. I know it feels boring. I know it really, really sucks to just having this sideways price action. But this is what Bitcoin does. This is Bitcoin's DNA. It goes sideways most of the time and actually downwards most of the time. But the bull candles are just astronomical and outpace everything else. That's why we've seen the most outperforming asset in human history in its price history. That's what Bitcoin does. Now let's go back and zoom out a little bit and look at other assets. So what do we have here? We have gold. We have unbelievably reached a price of $4,940 per ounce in gold, which is unbelievable. Gold has gone up in just, let's say, from 2025, if we take the beginning of 2025, gold has gone up 86%, which for gold terms, this is actually insane to consider. And silver as well. We are almost at, oh my God, we're actually, I didn't notice, we're almost $100 per ounce in silver. Okay, these are skyrocketing price actions, and to be honest with you, this worries me a lot, because if gold goes up this quickly and this much high, it's a very bad sign that there is uncertainty in the market. And obviously, the question that everybody has in mind is, why isn't Bitcoin going up as much as gold is right now? Without considering that gold has underperformed Bitcoin forever, if you consider its history. So it has performed way better than gold in any time frame, if you look at it, except the past 12 months, perhaps. So why is it? Well, there's a lot of uncertainty. We have war in Ukraine. We have war in the Middle East, potentially breaking out with the US. We have a lot of uncertainty in Japan. We have a lot of uncertainty among central banks. And central banks don't take Bitcoin seriously. And they're used to gold. And that could be potentially the reason why we see the gold price going up so much. And obviously, Russia, I'm not sure about the US, but Russia, China, all these countries, they would rather accumulate gold than anything in their eyes experimental like Bitcoin. But this is a sign of uncertainty, and in a time of uncertainty, you always have the potential that things can change and unfold very rapidly and very, very quickly. So we might see big events coming. And before I do that, I want to show you this chart, which is absolutely crazy. This is the Japanese government bond 10-year yield, which just hit its highest rate since 2007. Okay, we are above. This is a chart from a few days ago, but I believe we're around the same percentage. So we're about 2.2%, which is a very, very uncertain and very, very worrying signal, because if rates are so high, it signals that the central banks are struggling, and not the central banks, but the governments are struggling to sell these bonds, and hence the rates go higher for new investors to buy them. And this is a clear signal that we are in uncertain territory. Nobody knows what can happen. There can be an intervention by central banks at any point in time. We might see much lower rates from the US coming much earlier than anybody is expecting. And that can obviously shift the narrative rapidly. But this is the only explanation I have right now, to be honest with you, is all the uncertainty I see among central banks, nation states, and so on and so forth. And if you look at this chart and you compare it with the gold chart, it looks quite similar, right? It actually looks quite similar if you take a look at both, right? You have a swing up to all-time highs, and Japan is one of the largest treasury holders of the US. So they buy the debt of the US. And if they have issues issuing more debt, that's a very, very big problem, not only for Japan, but also for the US, for Europe, for every G7 nation that is important in the global economy. Okay? So, in my opinion, gold is leading the way, and we could have a flip to Bitcoin and riskier assets from the perspective of risk off and risk on. Bitcoin is viewed as a risk on asset. We could see a flip to risk on assets at any moment. We could, because if you look at the market cap, for example, the market cap of Bitcoin and its increase compared to the market cap of gold and its increase is absolutely crazy, right? I mean, gold was at $2,000 at around 11 trillion. Now it's at almost $5,000 and 23, 24 trillion plus market cap. If just a small percentage of that market cap flows into Bitcoin, it can rapidly increase the Bitcoin price over its all-time high to 300, 400,000 in a very short period of time. I don't want to sound parabolic, but the current price action, I know it feels depressing, but it's nothing new. We have had times like this in Bitcoin before, but every time Bitcoin goes down, it feels like this is going on forever. And everybody's disappointed, especially because the 4-year cycle did not unfold the way everybody was expecting. And everybody was expecting Bitcoin to go much higher, much quicker. But it seems like it's taking a longer time for Bitcoin to unfold in its current phase and go higher. So, what is the conclusion from everything I just said? The conclusion is, I believe, personally, we're not yet in a bear market in Bitcoin. We're not. We are at a local bottom, And this sideways price action can go on for quite some time, maybe for a few more months. And I think we are going to rally back up again to all-time highs. I might be wrong, obviously, but this is my opinion. And the reason I have this opinion is because I look at other markets. I look at precious metals, I look at stocks, I look at all the other assets, I look at the S&P 500. Everything is screaming higher. So I don't see a reason why Bitcoin will not follow that, to be honest with you, unless we have a war that nukes the markets and the central banks will have to intervene, which will obviously pick up the market back up. But that is the only scenario that I think Bitcoin might crash lower. But other than that, everything else looks positive. I don't see a reason why we should see a 1.5 year bear market that we are used to from Bitcoin's history. So that's my take, to be honest with you. And I just wanted to record a very short video today and just give my take on the current circumstances and how I see the markets unfolding. We have a schedule of upcoming guests on our podcast starting from next week. And we've been working very, very hard on our new website, which is coming on the 21st Capital website very soon. We're working very, very hard on that. And stay tuned on that one. And thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you in the next video.